Hello everyone. How's your day? I hope you all are doing absolutely fine. Today we have a couple stories related to relationship problems that people had, like the first story from our slash relationship advice where we have a couple arguing, but to a point where it's kind of bad. I'm not sure. Give me your opinion on the comment section.
My BF put his hands on me this morning. Can you guys give me advice? This morning, my BF, 26M, and I, 19F, woke up so peacefully, had a cuddle session, and went into the kitchen to make some coffee and breakfast before I went to my classes. We were talking while the coffee was brewing, and then he starts shadow boxing me. He boxes and was pretending to punch me, while I was standing there asking him over and over again to please stop doing that, because I don't like any form or representation of domestic violence. I have a hard boundary about anything close to or representing domestic violence, whether it be verbal or physical. Anyways, he was shadowboxing me, and I asked him 4 times nicely to please stop doing that, and that I don't like that or put up with that kind of thing. The 5th time I told him I'm dead serious and he better stop now. It was almost as if he was deaf to my requests, and whole time I never even raised my voice to him. He continued to shadowbox me after I told him I was dead serious about it, and when he didn't stop that 5th time, I took a glass full of water and doused him with the whole thing in his face. Then I stormed off to his room. He then came to the room and told me that I needed to clean up that mess. I told him it's not my mess to clean up and that it's just the consequences of his actions of not listening to me the first 4 times I asked him to stop. Eventually, I got up from the bed I was sitting on. Mind you, the mattress is all the way on the floor. I get up and he shoved me hard as hell back on the bed in an aggressive way. I get up again, and he does the same thing again. Then I tell him he ruined the date I had planned for later today, and that I'm leaving. Then he takes my bag of clothes and hides it across the house. I go to the kitchen looking for my bag, and this whole time we're screaming at each other. Then he shoves me again, and screams at me to get the fuck out of his life. I go to leave his house, and he won't let me leave, and he's holding my property hostage. Eventually, I get out of the house and get into my car, but he then brings my bag back, but takes my phone to get me to come back inside. I take his glasses off his face, so he gives me my phone back, and he damn near smashes my phone on the floor. Eventually, he brings my phone, and he gets his phone and glasses from my car, and is trying to talk with me and reason with me. It's difficult, because this is a deal breaker to me. I always vowed that if a man ever put his hands on me that I'm leaving the first time and not sticking around for a next time, because if I stay they're gonna think it's okay. His behavior was extremely erratic and toxic and almost scary because he's a boxer and could seriously hurt me if he wanted to. In general, he's the sweetest person, but he sometimes has these episodes of acting crazy and neurotic. We're already going through things in our relationship, and I just don't know if he's good for me. Especially now that he put his hands on me. I can't, out of respect for myself, tolerate that and return to him. I started crying in the car and told him that now I'm going to be scared of him, which he would hate for that to happen, but that's what happens when you put your hands on a female. That's a big no-no and a subsequent deal breaker. I know I deserve so much better. I just don't know if this is stuff that every couple goes through and if it's somewhat normal in healthy relationships. Would it be healthy to leave or stay? TLDR, my boyfriend disregards my request for him to stop shadowboxing my face, and he doesn't listen, so I splash a cup of water on him. We get into an altercation where he shoves me 3 times and holds my property hostage and doesn't let me leave his house. I eventually leave, and I don't know whether I should leave him or try and work it out in our relationship.
This situation sounds very serious and concerning, and it's important to prioritize your safety and well-being, because physical violence is a major red flag. It is quite normal to argue within a couple settings, but not to a physical level. That goes for both the girl and the boyfriend. Both deserve a relationship where you feel safe, respected, and valued. This next story is from our slash dating advice.
Got hit by the "I'm not ready for this." I met her while backpacking on an island mainly frequented by couples. We ended up getting together a solid group of solo travelers and just ended up doing stuff together. I really liked her vibe, and she lived about an hour away from me, so I ended up asking her out and she said she'd love to. After she had left and I stuck around, I ended up asking about her to the other people in our group and was informed that she was also pretty excited about the date. I was informed a little about her past relationships and how she had a shitty ex-boyfriend and was somewhat over him. A couple weeks pass and we finally ended up getting a date set. I had some plans, but we got rained out, so we ended up picking books out for each other and just hanging out for a while. We went on a few more dates over the course of a month, both at my place and hers, along with a few video calls here and there. It was pretty confusing at first because she straight up mentioned she wasn't an avid phone user and I thought it was the typical cop-out, but every date we spent with each other, she quite literally would go 5H+ without touching her phone. We ended up sleeping together before a dinner about a month and a half in, and afterwards things just changed. She was averse to sleeping over because she wasn't fully comfortable with it. I have never been more confused about someone than that. Normally I stick to defined situationships, but this was the first time that I actually wanted a relationship with someone. Things came to a head last week when she traveled to my place and was more down than normal. It was a tough weekend for her due to it being the anniversary of some bad event that happened, but I tried to just be there for her. Unfortunately, she said that she wasn't ready for this, and that I deserved someone who was there in the moment. I think everything just hit her at once and she pulled back majorly for fear of hurting me. That part annoyed me because she had clearly made up her mind. I expected a bit of agency to let me make my own mistakes, but I didn't push back on trying to make things work because the last thing I'd want to do is force her to do anything she didn't want to. A few tears were shed on her part and she left. She still had a couple articles of my clothing that I want back, so I told her that I'd reach back out in the new year and ask for them back then after I'm back from a long backpacking/vacation trip. This was possibly the worst decision that I could have done because now I'm just looking forward to the new year. I'm avoiding texting her because she clearly wants space, but my brain just seems to want to text her so that when I reach out again there's already a rapport. But the other half of me wants to give her space so that she can see whether she actually wants to do this. Had a business trip immediately after the event and I ended up in a club having a drunken makeout session, but ended up calling the girl I was with the name of the ex. Feels a lot better after writing it out. This too shall pass.
It's clear from your story that you genuinely cared about this person and were invested in building something meaningful with her. The ending, though painful, speaks volumes about the emotional complexity involved in relationships. It's okay to feel a mix of emotions: longing, frustration, and even hope. Moving forward, you should focus more on yourself.
Is my Bumble date a setup? I'm 23M and recently joined Bumble to throw my hat in the ring. I matched with a girl who has intimacy without commitment in her bio. Our conversation quickly turned suggestive, and she hinted at being intimate that night. Before blatantly accepting and get a better sense of her, I asked for her Instagram. She shared her username, but I noticed she only had about 8 to 9 pictures from the past month to 2015, and only one was of herself, which raised a red flag for me. She scheduled another meeting for tonight at 9 p.m. and even shared her full address just 2 days after we matched. I'm feeling a bit uneasy about the whole situation, wondering if it's normal for things to move this fast on Bumble. Also, I'm concerned about being shanked immediately as I cross the threshold of the doorway. What are the chances of something going wrong?
Your caution is valid, and it's wise to approach this situation with a healthy level of skepticism. Remember, it's better to err on the side of caution and feel confident in your decisions than to risk a potentially unsafe situation. Trust yourself and take all necessary precautions. This next one is from our /relationship.
Boyfriend tells his mother everything. I, 33F, always knew my BF, 38M, confided in his mother when we fought. I didn't care about that because everyone needs someone to talk to, but I found out for the past 2 years he's been telling her every word vomit that comes out of my mouth, every insecure thought, every paranoia. I'm so annoyed and embarrassed. I feel like someone handed out my private diary out. I opened up to him because he was my best friend. I feel like nothing is as I thought it was. TLDR, my boyfriend tells his mother absolutely everything I say, even stuff that triggers me about her family members.
It's completely valid to feel betrayed and embarrassed by your boyfriend sharing your private thoughts and feelings with his mother. Relationships require trust, and when sensitive information is shared without consent, it's natural to feel hurt, but you deserve a relationship where your vulnerability is treated with care and respect. Communicating and setting boundaries are important first steps. Thank you to everyone who reached this point. You're the best. If you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing.